Hello viewers and welcome to my brief blog of the Belgian Grand Prix yesterday. Always a highlight on the calendar for me, always one of my favourite races. It's one of the original circuits and it features so many types of challenging corners and undulation, such a long lap as well. Always fantastic to see. There's always going to be some drama and incident, and of course on the first lap yesterday, away from the line, a jump start by Maldonado, and the chain reaction from that jump start eventually resulted in a crash. Of course Grosjean, his awareness there not being what it should have been, going into Lewis Hamilton and causing a nasty incident. We're all very pleased to see Fernando Alonso was able to walk away from it. It could have been disastrous, and Grosjean has put his hands up for it. Of course, Lewis not very happy, but there's not much you can do about it. It's racing, and the race goes on. Grosjean now has a race ban for Monza, and you would agree, rightly so, it was a silly decision really at the time. But it also raises a point, I think, about drivers and driver safety and complacency as well within Formula One these days. You know, we don't have many fatal injuries in Formula One, or serious injuries for that matter. And I think the drivers sometimes do disconnect themselves, and there's a little lack of respect, shall I say, for everybody on the track. And I think that's just a perfect instance of where Maldonado's jump start meant Grosjean was looking at something perhaps he shouldn't have been looking at, was trying to get in the mix, and in that heat of the moment, which lasts all of 3 seconds, he's made a mistake. But I think that certainly he'll learn from it, and I think the Formula One drivers as a whole need to just look at how they run some of their start procedures. You've got to go for it, but you've also got to be sensible when you're coming to that first corner. Otherwise, dare I say, it does look like F1, the video game, which is usually a bit of a mess. So know your brakes, give everyone space, and be sensible. A race is never won on the first corner, but it can certainly be lost. As for the race over the weekend, obviously Jenson Button so strong this weekend. What happens at McLaren? They can't seem to get two drivers home successful at the same time. You know, if it's Lewis miles ahead, then it's Jenson Button miles ahead. And you can see Jenson here, of course, very pleased with his car in good shape, nice setup for him and everything else. It was a dream weekend for him, and what it shows is what Jenson's ability is once he has the car under him that's set up for him. But McLaren are a mystery of a team, aren't they? They just can't seem to set up the car for both drivers and keep them both happy at the same time. Of course, leading up to that, Lewis Hamilton complaining about his rear wing, rather unprofessionally, it has to be said, putting a tweet online of the telemetry data for the McLaren, overlaying his own lap with Jenson's, including some critical data on there as well. So, including ride height of the car. I can imagine the engineers being very, very unhappy with Lewis indeed. Christian Horner mentioning that would have broken their confidentiality agreement with the drivers, i.e. you don't do that. And it's really a step back for Lewis, because as he's trying to sign his contract and get all that agreed, to do something like this really isn't helping his cause none with himself or the team, you know, and it really is a silly mistake to make. So the whole weekend, a bit of a write-off for Lewis. Monza next weekend, he can get over that. Jenson, great win. Sebastian Vettel coming from the back, fantastic for him. Really, really great drive from him. Michael Schumacher, a great shame, you know. I think... Yeah, watching the BBC coverage, Eddie Jordan has been a bit critical of Michael Schumacher ever since he came back, you know, jumping on everything. Making your own luck was a comment I picked up on yesterday. There's no such thing as making your own luck. You're either lucky or you're not lucky. I think, you know, you could arguably say win the lottery. You have to buy a ticket and then you win the lottery. You're lucky, but you made your luck because you bought the ticket. I think in a racing driver's sense, all they can do is run a clean race as fast as they can, and if a bit breaks on the car, then that's that. If it doesn't, then good. Unfortunately for Michael, he's had problem after problem, and what could have been a podium for him yesterday wasn't to be, but it certainly showed how quick he was, you know, quite a way ahead of Nico Rosberg, but of course there was a bit of qualifying in there as well. But either way, Michael's really expanded this year, and I don't think the points tally really reflects where he should be. Kimi Räikkönen, solid job as ever. You know, he's just going round and round doing the business. Felipe Massa isn't anywhere. I don't know what Ferrari are going to do next year. Certainly that seat doesn't seem to be certain for anyone at the moment. There's still some musical chairs to go on, isn't there? Is Lewis going to stay? Is Michael Schumacher going to stay? You know, are we going to see some movement? Could Kimi end up back at McLaren? There's all kinds of different rumours that go around at the moment. We'll have to wait and see on those. Well, a strong performance, though, from the Toro Rossos. They were doing a good job keeping up there. And it was a shame for Kobayashi because he's shown good speed all weekend. And it was a shame we didn't really see from Sauber what they were actually capable of around the circuit. But certainly the development of the car this year has been absolutely fantastic. It's probably the strongest showing from Sauber in years, which is fantastic to see because we want to see more cars at the front of the grid. Maldonado, not a great day for him, obviously, with the jump start. But you know, it has to be said that he lacks some patience, and yes, he's had all these instances bumping into people this year, and he's shown a consistent lack of patience with people. He gets all hot under the collar. He needs to sort that out. You know, the guy's got some fantastic speed in there, but he really needs to just sort out his composure. And I hope there's someone at Williams that can tap into that, because the races are ticking by this season. He's not scored a single point since his win, and you just have to wonder what's going through his mind when you see race after race, no points. And Bruno Senna, who was a long way behind, is now just 6 points behind. It's also interesting to note that Jenson Button is only 16 points behind Lewis Hamilton. All of those poor finishes, but it's coming back for him. And it has to be said, fantastic to see Jenson now in this position, and let's see if he can build on that. So overall, there was action all through the race all day, all kinds of overtakes and everything else, you know, seeing them straight lining it, the way the car's flying to Pouhon as well. I have to say, always a very challenging corner. It's great to see. It's always a fantastic fantastic circuit, and it's brought F1 back to life after the long summer break. Certainly a very long break, but we're quick on to Monza now. Lots more races to come later this season, lots to look forward to, and we'll have to see how Ferrari bounce back as well, because they do feel they have the weaker package. But never underestimate any of those top teams. I mean, anything can happen. Goes to show you can crash out of a race. You know, Alonso started the race with somewhere around 40-point advantage, finished the race with 24-point advantage. It just shows a couple of races of DNFs, and suddenly someone else can have the lead of the championship. So it's all to play for there. I'm going to be hopefully bringing you some videos on WRC3 quite soon, onto the gaming news, shall I say. And F1 2012, we'll have to wait and see. Again, as I said, this year we've been very restricted on what we can bring you, i.e. no videos at all on it. And I'll also be bringing some videos on some of my arcade collection, stuff like this, over the next few months. I've been asked for it a long time. This is going to be on the Team VV Games channel, so you're going to see, this is my arcade setup that I have here, and this is where I'm going to be testing out some of the old arcade boards as well. This is all going to be going in the next few months, so I thought I'd film it before I get rid of it all, and then hopefully we'll be able to cover some other racing titles in some greater detail, including Forza Horizon. It might not be to the end of September, but we'll wait and see on that. But that's it from me for now, as ever. I look forward to your comments and responses on all of this, as well as the racing news. Do check out the website. We've got the forum there, and we've also got some reflection on the Grand Prix from Tim Goodchild, who's given us his sort of thoughts on the drivers and the way they're behaving at the moment. And as ever, I look forward to your messages on the forum. But that's it from me for now, viewers. As ever, more soon.